Hi everyone, so let's talk about Shakespeare Backstage. If you didn't see the playthrough, and I'm sure there'll be a link on the screen if you didn't, it is a little expansion, just this little pack of cards here that includes some new actors with some new abilities. It includes new objective cards, including objective cards that can be redeemed at the start of the ambience phase. So not necessarily endgame points, but extra opportunities to grab set dressings, ambience, and all sorts of other things. And the main event, the Backstage deck. And let's talk about these things. So the new actor cards, it's always nice to have extras of anything in a game like this. The powers generally though are kind of conflicty. They make other players move back on acts. They cost other players money, and it's a shame because one of the ones that moves people back on acts also gets you an objective card. That's Ghost there. He's in this pile. So he's got a very nice power when you finish his costume. But I suppose you could take him and never use his power if you wanted to play like that. But if you like interactivity in games, then there you go. It's made it even better for you. There is a nice guy. I think he came out right at the start. I can't find him now. There we go. He lets you move like crazy on the act, but he's going to cost you ambience when you activate him, which can really hold you back. So he's an interesting new guy. And always being able to go first, that's a nice power of the bear. That's a cool little thing. I can't quite reach that now. But so the new actors are nice. There's not that many of them, but it's nice that there's an extra deck made as well, which comes into play in the backstage area. So there's also these objective cards. So there's a new one for assistants, which is nice. You can really go for assistants and grab a point for each one of those. But there's also these that are going to activate at the beginning of an ambience phase when you want to. So you can grab a yellow set dressing or costume. You could move up in each act. There's all sorts of little bonuses like this that aren't endgame points, but could really get you out of a bind or skip you into first place in an act or something like that. So they are a nice variation and an interesting decision of, do you want those endgame points for the long-term plan, or do you just want the bonus that you might need right now, or have this in your pocket for when you really need it? And finally, the main thing, the backstage decks. So if you didn't see the run through, there's all sorts of cards laid out underneath the actor cards. I think it's the same number as the actor cards, and they're going to give you different abilities. So you can basically get more ambience, get more set dressings, get all sorts of things. But the really interesting thing about this comes from when we do the auction at the start of the round, when everybody bids their counters for how many actions they want to take on their characters, and you want to bid as few as possible because you want to be first. The cylinders you don't use go on the backstage deck here, and they are the ones that are going to be used to activate the backstage actions, and some can be really powerful. Like everybody gets, I'll just ruin mine there, everybody gets a theatre card now, and there's a guy, here he is right there. The architect lets you place a set dressing from the available ones, and the more cylinders you put on him, the better the set dressing you can get. He lets you place things on here, and you get a point for the first and last one you put on. You build up, and for every set dressing you put on there, it kind of adds up. They all activate the bonuses every time you put a new one on. So you could just load this with ambience, points, plus 3 tokens, all sorts of different things, and really rack up the points with that. Or the Hatter is quite interesting as well. I can't find her right now, but she lets you put a costume element that's available, any number as well, on top of the first space of an actor's costume as their hat. And if the value of the hat and the element underneath it add up to exactly 6, then you're going to get an extra point for every person that's done that at the end of the game. So that can be another interesting way of scoring points. It's added a lot of cool new events and features. Like there's a guy that lets you put 1 less rest token out, so you'll be able to use more people 2 rounds in a row. There's lots of extra little things like that that are really interesting, and I think it's made the auctions even better as well, because there was always a negative to bidding less, obviously, because you're going to get to go first and you're going to get the point if you go first as well. You get a point in a multiplayer game. But now those things that you didn't bid get put on this backstage deck, and sometimes the powers available in the backstage area can be better than whatever your people were going to get you that round. So I think this is a really nice addition. It's a nice little package, and I think it's definitely worth it if you like Shakespeare. And I think that's all I've got to say about that. So, bye everyone.